this board before you and brought you here, Mayor John Cooper. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you, Mike. This is an important room to me, and you all are in very important chairs. And I'm grateful to everybody that fills those chairs every other Tuesday. And I'm super grateful for you all here today. And I want to thank Mike. I met him almost 5 years ago, and he's been an important part of my life, and he's an important part of Nashville. And if there's one person that keeps everything together, it is Mike Jamison, with his kindness and also his passion, and his passion is sustainability. And when I lured him into the current job, his one requirement was that we do something amazing on sustainability. So I said, with your leadership, and that means your leadership now, we're going to do that. But thank you to each and every one of you for being part of this important advisory board. And I am proud of the broad range of climate change and sustainability policies that we announced earlier in December, but that needs just to be the start. There is consensus in the scientific community that climate change is contributing to an increase in the number of and intensity of extreme weather events around the world, and we may be having one this weekend in the South in general. Now, we have seen it here before. In 2010, more than 13 inches of rain fell on Nashville within a day and a half, and now that displaced 10,000 of our family members and friends and neighbors. You just have to look no further than out your window to see a community that has been reshaped by climate change. And it's a reality for our community, more than one that we could have imagined just a few years earlier than that. And the consequences of that have lingered, but it presents the demand and the opportunity for us going forward. Environmental change to our world exacerbates socioeconomic disparities. Lower income neighbors suffer the most from these kinds of events. The economic impact of the flood was devastating. It caused $2 billion in private property damage and $120 million more in public infrastructure damage. 400 businesses remain shuttered, causing an estimated loss from that one event, permanent job loss of 1,500 jobs. Now, in the past, Metro government has done excellent work in considering and proposing ideas and proposals to tackle these changes. And some of these challenges that we need to address threaten our quality of life. Now, we are in the midst of all this change, but let's use data to understand some of the challenges ahead. Our urban tree canopy shrank from 28% before the flood to just 24% in 2016, well below the coverage enjoyed by peer cities. Austin, Texas has an urban tree canopy of over 30%. Charlotte, North Carolina is at 47%. We can do better, and with the help of you and council members Angie Henderson and Jeff Syracuse, we're going to work to strengthen our city's tree canopy in a meaningful way. Now, other environmental challenges threaten our very future on this planet. Now, we will increase our renewable energy portfolio and Metro government. GSA is committed to being a great partner and a leader in going forward, and I want to thank them. But we need to encourage residents to do the same. We will improve the energy efficiency across Metro facilities and reduce our carbon footprint. We will do all we can to work towards a community-scale CO2 reduction target of 30% by 2030 and 70% by 2070. That's going to be up for you to help us decide, is that enough? How do we get there quicker? What do we need to do? Now is the time for action. Now I'm asking you to offer your input on active proposals, on legislation, on executive orders, on policies and practices, and let's submit it to my office and to the Metro Council and to all Metro departments. And I welcome each of you to submit your own proposals. This is not my environmental sustainability policy. It is ours. It is the community's, and it's only with the community's support that we're going to be able to have these kind of dramatic changes. Now, the work of environmental justice is not easy. The path before us holds many challenges, including financial constraints and differing ideologies. But these challenges are worth our best efforts for the sake of our children and the future of everyone here in Nashville. And I look forward to visiting with all of you. With Mike Jamison, you have the very best that this or any other government can have in terms of an advocate who's also a knowledgeable steward of what we can achieve, and let's achieve all that we can. So with that, thank you. Thank you for being in this room. I hope one day soon you are all back to see the folks whose chairs you are sitting in pass meaningful and helpful changes to the whole community. And with your help, I think they will. Thank you very much.
Those are very kind words from Mayor Cooper. I would have to confess to you that I am the George Plimpton of environmentalism, meaning I'm very enthusiastic about the topic. I have no credentials in it whatsoever, but the person that can speak to you with knowledge and expertise about sustainability, climate issues, natural resources defenses is our Director, Manager of Sustainability and Transportation, Mary Beth Eichert. Mary Beth.
All right, so I'm going to just go over a real bunch of heady substantive content for you today, and then we're going to kick it back over to Mike and wrap it up. But I did want to, since I think 80 to 85% of the folks in this room were involved in the Livable Nashville program last term, I did want to give an update on some accomplishments that have been achieved out of that slate of recommendations, because we have folks in the room who volunteered their time and expertise and really spent a lot of time organizing, socializing, and thinking through and putting forth that content. So that suite of recommendations did not just sit on a shelf. We've done a lot out of that plan, and so I'm going to go over some of that information for you. Also going to remind folks of what our Global Covenant of Mayors Agreement requires of the city. This is something Mayor Cooper just recommitted to, and some other content. Go ahead. So out of the Livable Nashville plan, we have achieved a lot of really exciting initiatives. So NES Home Energy Uplift was launched. That is here in our community. That is a wonderful program that NES is implementing in partnership with the Tennessee Valley Authority to retrofit the homes of limited income homeowners up to $8,000 of improvements to the home. And we received funding from the Southeast Sustainable Communities Fund to establish a training component with the Nashville Career Advancement Center that's being done in partnership with Goodwill Industries and the Urban League affiliates of Tennessee to train unemployed or underemployed Nashvillians to do that work. So as Home Uplift is able to reach more homes, you know, we'll have contractors and folks that can do that work. We tried to establish a roundup program or get the ball rolling on that, but maybe we'll try again with this new council, but that would have given us a lot more money, and TVA is committed to match those dollars, and it is a really robust, wonderful program that's really making a difference in people's lives. Our Davidson County Solid Waste Region Board adopted a zero waste master plan for the city of Nashville. I think only a city in the Southeast with a zero waste strategy is Atlanta, and there's a variety of policy and infrastructure recommendations in that plan that we can pursue both near, mid, and long term. I think Sharon Smith is kind of the keeper of that plan, but it's really an important piece of policy for the city. I encourage you to take a look at it and think about those recommendations and what you might like to help us advocate for. The Mayor's Food Saver Challenge to restaurants, hotels, and grocers is ongoing. We just had a great event with Mayor Cooper at Las Palmas. All of the Las Palmas restaurants in Nashville have joined the Food Saver Challenge, implementing food saving practices. The commercial sector has a big impact on sending food waste to landfill, and a lot of that food is food that can, first of all, go toward relieving hunger in our community. It also also has a lot of greenhouse gas emissions that come out of organic waste in landfills, methane into the atmosphere. We passed a renewable portfolio standard under last council. This was something that Councilman O'Connell spearheaded and that Mike worked on when he was on the council side, but we now have requirements for Metro to add renewables to the fuel mix for what we're using to power Metro government operations. So inclusive of MDHA, the airport, and schools, we're spending about $70 million a year on power, and so we now have iterative goals to add renewables to that mix. We're continuing to invest in sidewalks and bikeways. We're building bikeways on Division Street right now, and sidewalks all over town. So those capital investments to achieve mode shift on transport are continuing. We have a 4,000-acre goal of land acquisition for Plan to Play by 2027, and we got part of the way there with some land acquired in the Bells Bend area, lush rural area of Davidson County that is prime for agriculture and other recreational uses, some resilience component to that as well. We launched Root Nashville, which is our countywide tree planting campaign. This is a campaign where there's a role for everyone, whether it's donating money to plant a tree, planting a tree yourself, and adding it to our tree tracker on rootnashville.org, or getting your community organized around a tree planting, letting us know where there are opportunities. We achieved 5,000 goals toward that 500,000 trees by 2050 goal this spring, and that was planted by our title sponsor, Nissan North America. And we achieved new tree and landscape code updates through some legislation that Mayor mentioned Council Lady Angie Henderson worked on last term with Metro departments, and more of that will be forthcoming. NES, I know some of our climate and energy subcommittee folks will be interested to know that NES has achieved full AMI installation, which was one of the Livable Nashville recommendations, and also launched the Music City Solar Community Solar Field. That's a 2-megawatt facility on top of a capped landfill in the Madison area. We'd love your help pushing individual and donated subscriptions to Music City Solar. You can subscribe for your own household, or you can make a gift of a solar subscription for folks in our community who may not be able to afford that. And then this is just a summary of the council legislation that passed last term, some of the policy goals that are now mandated on Metro government emissions. So we're supposed to be retrofitting our buildings 9% by 2024 with the goal of reducing our energy consumption 20%. Retrofitting our buildings to LEED Gold among 12.5% between 2026 and 2032. The RPS that I mentioned earlier has some goals. 100% renewable by 2041 is sort of that out-year ambitious goal. So looking at DeCasso, we're excited to work with TVA on some of that. And then by 2025, our vehicle fleet at Metro is supposed to be 25% zero emission, and then by 2035, 75% low or zero emission. So just a reminder, Nashville joined the Global Covenant in 2015 under Mayor Berry, and technically we never pulled out or anything. We've been meeting our requirements. Laurel and I have a ton of reporting that we have to do. We're scored on our climate goals by the Covenant, by an organization they use called the Carbon Disclosure Project, but to meet our commitment to the Covenant of Mayors, we've done some things, and we're scoring pretty well, but we have some really important work that we're obligated to deliver in order to meet these requirements. And so we, Mike and I were excited that Mayor Cooper recommitted to these goals, because now we have some pretty important products that we're going to have to deliver as a part of that. But we've achieved the commitment. Mayor mentioned in his remarks that, we've got a community scale emissions reduction goal of 70% by 2050. We've got a municipal emissions reduction goal of 80% by 2050. This was something that the Climate and Energy Subcommittee came up with for Livable Nashville. We've just re-embraced that, assuming that we don't need to go with anything more contemporary. We will be updating our emissions inventory again this year. So that's been achieved, and we've got got our latest inventory and a bunch of other data uploaded on there, but we do have to come up with a climate action plan, which I'm going to go into a little bit about what might inform that, as well as a climate adaptation plan. Cities are now required to produce this document in order to really come up with a strategy by which to ruggedize ourselves for a changing climate. We have certain risks that we will be experiencing here in the Southeast, and that can come at a cost of lives, businesses, infrastructure, and so forth when we have extreme heat, extreme weather events such as tornadoes, and extreme rain and precipitation and flooding, those sorts of things. Go ahead. So to achieve our plan badge under the covenant, we're going to be working with a lot of existing assets. There's no need to reinvent the wheel and create a large budget for something like this, including the Livable Nashville work from the last term. We have worked on something called a climate wedge analysis, and I'm going to go over that data just quickly for you. It's a little bit sciencey, but wanted to let you know that we took the Livable Nashville recommendations and did a lot of analysis around, okay, if we did everything in this plan that y'all came up with, how much carbon could we pull? The Zero Waste Master Plan has a whole slew of new strategies and recommendations that the last Livable Nashville Plan sort of punted to that planning process since that was underway with an engineering consultant and the Department of Public Works. Our Parks and Greenways Master Plan, still current, still relevant. ULI Nashville produced a bunch of recommendations under Gear Up 2020. This was the private sector development community telling us what they'd like to see. Our transport modal plans are still, the adopted plans of the Transit Authority, the Public Works Department, and the Planning Department. And then our next greenhouse gas emissions inventory, we're actually holding a kickoff meeting with folks who provide us that data tomorrow. We're going to be using 2016 or 2017 data to update, whether our emissions and see whether or not where we're trending and use that for the basis of a new climate action plan, because the covenant requires you to use really current data. They only want you to, it can't be more than 2 years old, although we might be in some cases. So climate action plans in other cities typically include recommendations, policy recommendations around these areas. The four at the top are the largest emitters of greenhouse gas emissions. The one at the bottom is the largest sequester of greenhouse gas emissions. Your open space, your trees, your clean bodies of water. And so we will be socializing some new recommendations, cleaning up the Livable Nashville ones, making sure they're current, throwing out anything that's outdated or no longer achievable or palatable. And so I think when you signed in, you maybe indicated an area of interest around these policy areas, and then adaptation will be sort of its own next gen product. So we did our latest community scale inventory. You see there's a lot of emissions coming from transportation, and then the buildings sector accounts for more than half of the emissions. I'm looking at Director Herbert over there who can help us potentially with that. But the last effort around this, we worked with Southern Environmental Law Center and DOD to what are going to be our targets for Nashville using this baseline inventory, where what the Paris Agreement says we absolutely need to do in order to avoid what's called catastrophic warming. And so what the Paris Agreement did was they looked at, on the global science, we need to scale down by X% per year in order to hold warming to 2 degrees Celsius over the next decade or so. And so that's where those targets came from that the mayor has embraced. And it's also based on some looking at peer city examples as well. So the wedge analysis, so you're probably not familiar with the wedge analysis, but what that does is it takes all the pollution that you're emitting, and it plots out over time, the next 20, 30 years, what's going to happen under a business as usual scenario, and then what's going to happen if you implement what's in livable Nashville, and then essentially what's the wedge in between. How can you do things, further policy change or further actions to increase that wedge? Basically, we are going to decrease emissions no matter what we do, just under business as usual, as TVA's fuel mix gets cleaner, for example, or our vehicle tailpipe emission standards improved by regulation that's sort of out of Nashville, Tennessee's control. But we can, using the livable Nashville recommendations and whatever else we come up with, reduce emissions by as much as 86% more by 2050. And so I'm going to go over some key interventions that you see there. One of which is particularly on the metro government side. We need to purchase renewable energy. We need to deeply retrofit our metro buildings. We need to look at some new, greener building standards for metro buildings, and then we need to electrify our transit fleet, which I just texted Steve about this the other day. So, there's a lot of opportunity. It's good to know what you need to do, even if it's a long roadmap to get there. It's good to know how to get there. So community, 32% drop under BAU, 59% wedge by 2050 with additional measures. The TVA's fuel mix is critical here. And then decreasing of VMT. I mean, even if you were to electrify the whole thing, you still have to achieve mode shift. You still have to ship trips off of SOV onto transit walk bike. And then solid waste is also going to be a big one for us. So this is what I was talking about with the wedges. You can kind of see, business as usual, livable Nashville recommendations, and the wedge in between. This is just some about the methodology. We used the emissions reduction strategies from livable Nashville. They kind of cleaned up our greenhouse gas emissions a little bit, according to some things that they saw in there around solid waste. And then they provided recommendations on the largest emissions reduction potential. And this is critical for what a true climate action plan is going to need to be. You can't just put out like what we put out under livable Nashville and not attach a carbon reduction sort of metric to whatever it is you're doing. You got to know, if you're going to achieve 80% by 2050, how much does this strategy get you? So of the community scale emissions, you can see metro government, the legislation that we just passed last term, even if we were to do a lot of those things, our metro government impact on the emissions that we've got across the county is just 0.7%. So really we have to, look at other things in terms of the community scale emissions, TVA's fuel mix being a big one, and then the building sector being another one, and then mode shift on transport. Yeah, you can just flip through this. So the wedge analysis did use the livable Nashville targets that came out of the committee work last time. We had some umbrella sort of commitments that were under each policy area. So, 100% waste diversion, the zero waste master plan by 2050, and then mobility, greening the vehicle fleet. There was some mode shift goals out of the mobility subcommittee. And then the buildings had a lot of specific recommendations from that committee as well. Go ahead. And I can provide this to you later so you can look at it in more detail, but a 36% reduction in emissions below a 2014 baseline is anticipated due to lower carbon electricity and declining emissions from the Bordeaux landfill. But there's things that we can do to increase that as well. That's for Metro. So here you can see Metro government's greatest opportunities. Renewable energy procurement is a very large wedge. Retrofitting metro buildings is the second largest, and then our transit fleet is the third largest. So it's just plotting out emissions out to 2050 on the community scale. Well, this is what would happen under business as usual. And then these are the wedges on the community. Again, using that livable Nashville content just as a baseline to see what we might do. But the largest wedge obviously is on transportation, and the second largest being renewable power. And that some of that renewable power is not within our control, it's TVA, but we can, as a community, have influence on TVA and make our voices heard. And with our purchasing power as metro government, leading by example, that can have an impact. And then buildings, both commercial and residential, and waste. And these are just the wedges stacked on top of each other, community and metro government, so you can see that. So the livable Nashville recommendations went pretty far, but we can go further. The consultants for this project had some additional recommendations for us based on peer city examples. So looking at Chicago, some policy around EV subsidies, full electrification of their fleet and their transit fleet in Seattle. What other communities are doing around recycling and composting in San Francisco, building policy in Vancouver and Austin, and then 100 cities have committed to 100% renewable energy purchasing for municipal operations. Glad that we're now in that group thanks to, I think it's BL 2018-1600, whichever it was that passed in June. And then, there's just some things that we might want to look at to sort of update and go forward from here. So we had what we thought was a really exciting announcement on December the 5th, where Mayor Cooper sort of shared a first gen of some commitments that he's made in addition to rejoining the covenant and committing to those carbon goals, which is really important. We are exploring installation of solar across the historic on top of the historic courthouse here, as well as other metro building projects that General Services is pursuing. General Services will also create an energy savings program or an ESCO-like program to help fund a retrofit campaign across general government buildings. So we're really excited about that. We have new LEED certifications for some new metro buildings that have come online there. This board has been convened and appointed, so thank you all for your lending us your expertise on whatever comes next. We're going to be continuing to tweak the tree and landscape code and looking at some things that might improve preservation of our tree canopy where we've got large mature trees. And then yesterday, DaCosta and I were at a third convening of the Tennessee Valley Authority, sort of senior staff and local power companies, as well as the sustainability directors from Huntsville, Memphis, Knoxville, Chattanooga, and myself to discuss renewables in the Valley and what they might like to offer us in terms of greener product offerings, as well as their goals around electric vehicles. And they're also doing some work around smart cities. So with that, yeah, that's it. Okay, thanks, Mike.
Thank you so much, Mary Beth. All right, so now where do we go from here in terms of process? I had the pleasure of sitting in that seat for 8 years and in this seat for 4 years, and I think if I can be of any help to this organization, it will be in crafting and getting across the goal line the legislation that may result from this group. But I think it's worthwhile to talk about how this group came to be and Mayor Cooper's thought processes and its formulations. He took office September 28th, immediately started discussing the role of sustainability in his administration. Quite candidly, there were members of his senior staff, including me, that noted that there was an element of task force fatigue. There were comments in the papers with respect to other initiatives, other administrations. Every time there's a problem, you throw a task force at it and consider it progress. The task force studies it for a year, the public forgets about it, and then no progress is made. And that was weighing heavily on our minds and making recommendations to the mayor as well as the mayor's mind as well. There had been groups similar to this, as you are very familiar with, the Green Ribbon Committee, Livable Nashville, and the consensus was that our problem is not a shortage of ideas. It is not a shortage of proposals. It is the failure to implement those proposals. And so the suggestion was made that we reverse the polarity of this group and the Metro government, and instead let the Metro government, the mayor's office, the council, submit to you the proposals in real time as we go forward. So a year from now, 18 months from now, perhaps there won't be a 3-ring binder from you with a report of recommendations, but there will be a year's worth, 18 months worth of actual implemented policy, if that is your preference. The last thing that the mayor wants to do is to put his thumb on you and tell you how to operate. Your preference may be, and if this is indeed your preference, great, but your preference may be to be proactive, to recommend policies, to prepare the report, to submit the 3-ring binder for implementation. But we do want to make clear to you that our objective is implementation, is action, and not a mere report or recommendations. If you elect to go forward with a proactive approach, I would recommend or bring to your attention 3 enormous concerns and constraints that will affect all of us. The first and foremost is that we are in a period of unprecedented fiscal constraint. It is not a secret that the state has exercised some degree of supervision and oversight over our budget process that they have not seen fit to have to do in 57 years. We are submitting our budget substantially earlier than ever before, at least a month early, so we can get the state comptroller's office to actually approve that budget. They are currently exercising supervision, something that they have not done previously, and we are well on our way to curing, and we have their seal of approval on an interim basis, the steps we're taking with respect to fiscal constraint, but we are not out of the woods yet. We have 6 months left to go in this fiscal year, and proposals that are advanced by this body, by the Metro Council, by the mayor that involve additional resources are of concern, at least in the short run. The second significant concern that we'll have will be with state preemption. I could run through a list of items on which the state legislature has preempted action by this body, the council, just in the last 7 years, running from grocery store containers. You don't like plastic straws, you prefer paper, you don't like plastic bags, nor do the council members. The state legislature has seen fit to preempt action by local governments that prohibit those materials, and that's the law of the land. Short-term rental properties, there is a preemption. Affordable housing, ride-share regulations, think Uber and Lyft, rent control, minimum wage, community oversight board powers and opportunities, paid sick leave, anti-discrimination legislation, sanctuary cities, marijuana decriminalization. I can keep going, I'm not even halfway through. So significant legislation that may be the cure-all by this body. We have to be mindful of the fact that we have others that hold purse strings that we have to be deferential to by law. The last clear hurdle is no surprise to you, and that is public sentiment on this issue. If I were to ask this room if climate change is real and if there was a man-made element to it, I'm fairly sure I know the number of hands that would go up. But you are also fairly sure that that is not universally held. The story on the mayor's initial round of climate-related proposals on December 5th, just read through the comments on the Tennessean story if you want a real dose of reality as to how much work we have to do to convince the members of the public that this is a significant problem that requires significant action. Procedurally, however, we do have recommendations, and we have a few housekeeping suggestions as well. Number one is your duration of service. We would ask that the board persist for the duration of Mayor Cooper's current term. With respect to any individual member, we would ask a minimum of commitment of 1 year, with the expectation that you would renew and continue through Mayor Cooper's term, but with the understanding that after a year, with life as it is and commitments being what they are, if you need to roll off, we'll understand, we'll work with you, and we assume the board will have recommendations for replacement. Regarding the frequency of your meetings and the engagement of Mayor Cooper's office, that will first hinge on what your self-directed orientation is. If you want to be the reviewing board for the legislative proposals that will be brought before you, and they will, ordinances, resolutions, executive orders, policies, practices, if you want that to be the extent of your participation and you're simply providing review and feedback in real time, that is the minimum ask, and that is completely understood. If, however, you want to be proactive, if you want to submit your own proposals, you want to submit a report, that is welcomed. We would just suggest that in those instances, you're probably going to want a meeting frequency of probably as a board once a month, with perhaps greater frequency for subcommittees. On the sign-in sheet, there were categories that we asked that you sign or circle to at least begin the process of segregating members by their specialty. And so therefore, if there is an interest in forming subcommittees, we're already off to the races in how members can be segregated by instance. We would also probably recommend, again, if you want a proactive approach, that you form an executive committee, first and foremost, so that the communications to the mayor's office are streamlined. There are many familiar faces in here. Many of you are preceded by your reputation, and many of whom I look forward to getting to know, and there will be inevitable email communications between all of us. We ask that this board speak with a single voice just so we can process the recommendations. On a personal note, I would just ask that it was a frequent experience in the Metro Council office that we would get an 84-page article link with a sentence, "Can we do this?" And my response was usually, "I can't even read this." So if you can streamline what you're sending to us, focus, let us know, because of the limited resources we have to implement, let us know what you're getting to without having to read through the 84-page article, at least immediately. That'll help enormously. With that request, in terms of where we go from here, I am proud to announce that Mayor Cooper has selected a chair and co-chair for your leadership for this board. Without further ado, I want to introduce Ms. Linda Bregan. Now, I had advised many of you, and I've often advised council members, that if you're the one that does not show up to a board or commission member, you're likely to be the one that's nominated to something. Linda could not be here. She had a long-standing engagement before this, but she has accepted Mayor Cooper's appointment, and I want to those who have not met her or who are not familiar with her, share with you just a few of her credentials. She's a senior attorney with Environmental Law Institute, where she's managed a wide range of environmental initiatives over the past 15, 16 years. She's also the project coordinator for the Nashville Food Waste Initiative, a project of the National Resources Defense Council. Among her projects is the Environmental Law and Policy Annual Review, a collaboration with Vanderbilt University Law School, in which students work with their course instructors and an expert advisory committee to select innovative proposals in the legal and academic literature each year and showcase them for actual policymakers in Washington. She's the author of a column, Around the States, for the Environmental Forum. She has previously served as the Associate Director in the White House Office on Environmental Policy, counsel to a congressional subcommittee, a special assistant in the Office of Enforcement for the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, and counsel to a large New York-based law firm. She's a graduate of Tulane University, go Pelicans, and the University of Chicago Law School. One of her most redeeming features, I suspect, is that she is my neighbor, and so on those days when I have not set out my recycling cart, you will get immediate reports from Ms. Bregan as to my failure in that regard. If you didn't already know, the Metro Nashville Network is broadcasting this meeting, is live streaming it as we speak. Within 24 hours, it will also be accessible on the Metro Nashville Network website, so you'll be able to pull this up for future reference. Linda is watching us now. I know she would greatly appreciate it if you'd join me in a round of applause for her appointment. Congratulations, Linda. Her nominated and appointed co-chair, it is my pleasure to announce, is Mr. Eric Kopstein, the Vice Chancellor for Administration at Vanderbilt University, and Chancellor Kopstein is with us here today. You will hear me refer to all of you by your first name because I suspect that we're all going to get a little bit closer and a little bit more intimate as the years pass, and I will continue and start that tradition simultaneously here. Eric became Vanderbilt's Vice Chancellor for Administration in 2014. He arrived at Vanderbilt in 2012 as the Associate Vice Chancellor for Finance, and before joining Vanderbilt, Eric served for 7 years at Harvard University. So you see, every year it gets a little better from Harvard to Vanderbilt. He began as Assistant Dean for Planning and Budgeting at Harvard. In 2010, he assumed the role of Associate Dean for Finance and CFO at Harvard's Faculty of Arts and Sciences. Prior to Harvard, Eric worked for 3 years as the Director of Budget and Fiscal Planning at Dartmouth College and for 12 years at Northwestern University, go Wildcats, in various budget planning and administrative capacities. From this point, Eric will lead you in a discussion of where you go from here. The Metro government stands ready to assist in all capacities, be it with respect to meeting location, meeting dates, and times. I will caution you, we are glad that the Metro Council has indulged us with the use of this chamber today. That is unlikely to be an open invitation in the months to come. But depending on the dates and times and frequencies with which you decide to meet, Metro facilities will be made available. Without further ado, let me call up forward and introduce to you your co-chair, Eric Kopstein.
Thank you. Well, thank you for that warm introduction, Mike. What a really honor and pleasure it is for me to serve in this capacity and get to work with such a talented and passionate group of people. I didn't bring a lot of prepared remarks today, but I do want to just emphasize a couple of things. Linda, who I've worked closely with before, who will serve as the co-chair alongside myself, I know is sorry couldn't be here. I talked to her just a couple of hours ago. I've had the opportunity at Vanderbilt University to work closely with her on a variety of initiatives over the years. She's a wonderful person, and I know her passion and her energy will express itself in really positive ways here. Second, I want to note that while I don't have all of the deep background in all of the studies and all of the planning that have gone on over the years with the aid of so many capable people in this room and others, I do know that a lot of work has already happened. And, you know, I've been in academia my entire career, and academia can be a place where people like to talk and to opine and to come up with concepts and write papers and create those wonderful 3-ring binders full of ideas. And I'm around that every single day, and one of my key roles at Vanderbilt, and what I see as one of my key roles in helping facilitate the important work of this committee, is to actually get things done. So I really look forward to helping things move forward. Linda and I have not yet conceptualized with your input exactly how we're going to orchestrate our efforts, but I can assure you that we will be in touch soon. I look forward to getting to know all of you better. And once again, I just want to thank all of you for the opportunity to work with all of you on what I think are such a critically important set of topics. So with that, thank you very much.
That concludes the formal proceedings. I invite everyone to remain and discuss as long as you can. I know we got tight timelines. We are under an hour, so we did keep that one promise. But if you can linger and have some discussions and introduce yourself to those that you don't know, that would be much appreciated. I want to thank Mayor Cooper. I want to thank Mary Beth Eichert, all of the Metro Department representatives who are here and will be serving with you actively for the coming year and for the coming term. Thank you again. Appreciate it.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, Or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.